Hey there, RemPCs. Welcome to Rules of Cool, where we interview very special guests, creators, gamers, designers, and world builders. I'm your host, Rem, and today we'll be chatting with the phenomenal artist and illustrator, Brent Chumley. We have a fantastic giveaway as well of a Shadowrun 6th World Core Rulebook PDF, and you can get your free entry to win by typing hashtag RemPC in the chat. The drawing will be done at the end of today's episode of Shadowrun Emerald Glitch, Dandelions, and Checkpoints, which comes up right after Rules of Cool. You can also get bonus entries by donating bits or subscribing. Every 100 bits gets you a bonus entry, and subscribing gets you 7 whole bonus entries. Now, in Rem Alternis news, a thrilling sci-fi novel by Kevin J. Anderson and Jeffrey Morris, Earth's Last Hope, the Ark ship Odyssey, heads to Proxima B, aka Persephone. On arrival, settlers face a failing radiation shield and a mysterious metal structure. Astronaut Darcy Clark and engineer Tanya Baxter race to save humanity and uncover the planet's mysteries. Fully funded in under an hour and named a project we love by Kickstarter, come check out the project now. Stretch goals are unlocking as we speak, and the link is in the chat. In the darkest reaches of space, the Hellslayers stand as humanity's last line of defense. Will you accept the challenge to fight against all odds and save us from extinction? Battle through horrific encounters, build your legend, and earn upgrades to unleash your badassery in the face of doom. The Kickstarter is live and fully funded. Help us unlock these stretch goals and unlock hellish content. Check out the link in the chat. And lastly, get ready for a double dose of gaming excitement, introducing Parachute Panda and Fandooble from Catalyst Game Labs in this 2-game campaign on BackerKit, launching November 7th. Get ready to roll the dice, deploy parachutes, and face off against dragons. Now, time to get right into our conversation for this week, so stay tuned, RemPCs. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back, and welcome to the show, Brent.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent.
It's always fun to talk to someone that I have a previous relationship with, because I'm like, this is going to be an easy show.
Excellent. That sounds great.
For those of you watching, I met Brent at a, was it Origins?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
so it's Origins this year, and I've seen you at a couple shows since then.
Sure.
But funny enough, I actually walked past your booth and kind of stopped and did a double take because I recognized a piece of your art. Here, the backstory. Back when 6th edition Shadowrun was about to launch but hadn't been released yet, the Shadowcasters Network on YouTube was allowed to do a preview, playtest, actual play on YouTube. It's like over 44,000 views or something now.
Wow.
But we all, when we created our characters, had to choose a piece of art from the book to represent our character. And I happened to walk past Brent's booth. This was the one I chose. So she's gorgeous. She's a mage. She's awesome. I found out today her name is Willow. But yeah, so as I stopped and started talking to Brent, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're a Shadowrun artist. Let's talk about everything. So
Right.
I want to get to know you a little bit, though, so I'll stop talking.
Okay.
I always start the show off with this question, but what is your history as a gamer?
Okay, so my history as a gamer goes way back to 5th grade for me. And what started it was back in the old days, because I'm an old elderly man. So this is back in like 1980 or something like that, you know. But in the Sears catalogs, Christmas catalogs, that used to come out on like the day before school started every year. So I was always excited to get it. And they had Dungeons and Dragons products in there for sale that you could buy, you know. And I would see these and it just looked cool to me, I mean, because there was all the cool first edition covers that didn't look like anything else I had seen before. And then I had bought or well, like I bought it, my parents bought me it was a Dungeons and Dragons coloring book. And in the bottom of each page of it, they gave you like a rule, like one rule from the rule book of which game I don't know because it was very haphazard the way it was put together. But nonetheless, so I had this neat coloring book, and there was like a rule on each page that didn't make any sense all strung together. So I finally asked my mom, hey, for Christmas this year, can I get, like this D&D basic game and whatever? And so I got it and I read it and I played it with a couple of my friends. And then my sixth grade year, my first year of junior high school, there was a student that moved from St. Louis to our little town that I lived in, and he and his older brother played advanced D&D, AD&D. Ooh. So, and they also played Top Secret and a bunch of other TSR games that were made back in the day. And so we got talking about it at lunch, and he's like, "Oh, you got to play the advanced game. You got to get these books, and come play with us and whatever." So that introduced me to AD&D, and then I went from there. So I started gaming seriously in sixth grade, and I've been gaming ever since. Some game or another or whatever, and I've played lots and lots and lots of various role-playing games over the years. But that's where I started, was right in that fifth, sixth grade pocket with the old first red boxed basic set.
I love that story because it made me think of several things.
Yeah.
First of all, come see the softer side of Sears with Dungeons and Dragons, so that
Yes.
is enjoyable for me.
Right.
Then talking about having some friends over in the 80s to play D&D, I'm like, this is the beginning of Stranger Things.
Yes.
This is how it started in real life.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then number 3, you having lunch with someone who's like the original, "Oh, you're such a noob. You need to play advanced D&D."
Yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking, all right, I'm ready. Let's jump in. I'm ready to delve into this. And I remember my very first character I ever rolled up in AD&D was a druid. I knew nothing about what I was doing at all.
Awesome.
But just the concept, the way it was presented in the first edition rule books just appealed to me. So I was like, oh, I'll try this. So
awesome.
That's how that started.
So let's talk about artistry.
Okay.
I'm sure you've been an artist for as long as you can remember.
Yeah. Since I was a little bitty kid, I used to do it because I'm an only child. So drawing was something that could fill in my time, and I could do it wherever I went. And so because I was always alone, every time we'd go to family's house or this and that and the other, there's just me. I didn't have any other kids to play with or anything. So I was like, get out my drawing tablet and my pencils and go to work. And that's where it started.
So starting in that, like, when did the transition happen where you're like, I want to do this as a career? And
I know that very moment. I can
really
describe to you that very moment. And I've even told this to, hint, hint, Larry Elmore. I've even told this story to him, that the moment I realized that I wanted to do this like professionally, for maybe or not, maybe for a living, because as a little kid you don't really have a grasp of what a living is,
right.
But I knew I wanted to do it professionally when I grew up, if you will. Was also in sixth grade, and my dad had taken me down to, there was a place in St. Louis, and it was called Checkered Flag Hobby Shop at the time. And that's where they used to sell gaming stuff, was in hobby shops instead of in game stores like we have today, because it was its own little niche thing. It was not a big brand and all this like it is now. So he took me down there because my buddy that introduced me to AD&D was from there and told me all about this place. And to me, it just sounded like some magical heaven in the skies that I had to visit. They had miniatures, books, and modules, and oh my gosh, So anyway, he took me there for Christmas one year and said, "Okay, I've got a $300 budget. Pick out what you want out of this stuff, and I'll get that for you." And so, in picking out stuff, I got some modules and some books and some miniatures and Dragon magazine.
Ooh.
A whole Dragon magazine. And I got a couple of issues of it. And I basically just picked them up to read for later. I didn't pay a lot of attention to them at that moment. So long story short, I take them to school with me one day because I want to start reading through them on, in between classes and on recess break and things like that. And this one particular issue had a Larry Elmore cover painting to it. And it featured a couple of goblins in the woods, and they were coming up and approaching this knight on a horse that was raising up, and he had a lance and shield, and it's all forest setting behind it and stuff. And I remember looking at that painting and going, oh wow, that this is what I want to do. When I grow up, this is what I want to do, artwork that looks like this.
Cool.
And so I've told him, because he's now someone I've gotten to know over the years, and I've done a lot of shows with him sitting right next to me and things like that, at places like Gamehole Con and Gary Con and things like that. So I've told him this story over the years, how that was the very piece that inspired me. And I even had him sign that particular issue because I still have it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So that is the moment that I knew that I wanted to do this.
Oh, that's so awesome. How cool. Oh, I love that story.
I don't know if that's cool or nerdy or what, but
yes,
that's the way it is. I mean, that's the story. So it's
that's so cool. Yeah. I think for all of our audience, it probably brings to mind that story where it was like, ooh, this is what I want to do.
Oh, yes.
So cool.
Even just as gamers, I'm sure all, just the people that just play games, let alone make them, create them, write them, do art or anything else, I'm sure have that moment where they played it once, or they saw it on a bookshelf or something and said, oh, I've got to do this. This looks cool, or whatever, whatever that moment was.
It's interesting. So for me, I wanted to act, and I always enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I worked at a Ren fair, and I played a fairy.
Oh,
and a little girl. I fought in the final joust, and the blacksmith knocks me unconscious, and then at the end we all get up and we're all friends again because that's how it works.
Yeah.
And the next hour, it was my turn to watch Fairyland, and this little girl sobbing comes up and hugs my legs, and I look at her mom, and she's like, she saw you got hurt at the joust.
Oh.
And I'm like, yep, this is what I want to do.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, cool.
In the end of it all, whether you're an actor or a musician or an artist or a writer or a game, I think the ultimate goal, regardless of money, okay, take that off the table for a minute. Let's forget about making money at any of these things. But I think what typically, anyway, drives anybody to do these things is because when you do something like that and you get a reaction from someone, you get that positive reaction that, oh my gosh, this is so cool what you did, or what you made, or what you portrayed as a character, or wrote, or drew, or whatever, whatever the case is. I know it was for me when I would draw stuff and kids would go crazy over it. I knew I had something.
When I walked past your booth and went,
oh, yes, exactly. Exactly. That's a very good illustrated point right there. Pun intended.
Oh, well, that's all for tonight, everyone. I gotta cut this off. All right. Well, man, already I'm off book here, so I have some questions for you that I should probably get back to here.
Sure.
What's your favorite experience at a convention this year? And even if you want to talk about what your favorite convention is.
Oh, man. I mean, that's a hard one. That's a good question. I don't have a favorite con because different cons are different in different ways. And I know that's a very vague answer, but like, of course I could say something generic like, well, I love Gen Con because I make the most money there. Okay. Well, that's kind of a gimme. I mean, that at that size of convention.
That's a boring answer.
That's a boring answer, and that's not a good answer. As far as like, I really like the size shows that are, I would say, between 2,000 and 5,000 people. So like, my Archon, Gamehole Con, Gary Con, those conventions, not that I don't like the little ones, and not that the great big ones are better, because I don't mean it that way at all. But those mid-size cons, and that's kind of what I call that size of them, the mid-size cons, I think you are able to be, you're able to talk to people better. You're able to get more face time with fans, and you're able to get more face time with companies or representatives of companies, or things like that, and therefore I think you can get more accomplished, and I
Hmm.
think you get more fan response because at your great big shows, most of the people that approach your booth really aren't there for you. They just see a piece of art that they want. They know they've got only enough time to buy it and move along. You know,
Hmm.
it's more about just selling. You're basically just a store. You're not really, you don't get to really be a person or an artist or a writer or whatever you're doing. So, I mean, I love all of them for different reasons. I really do. But when I get to talk to fans more and interact a little bit more with them, or even maybe get to play a game after hours or something like that, which you don't get to do. Well, I don't get to at places like Gen Con and stuff like that. And that's not knocking that convention. That's just the reality of the time of
There's so
it.
much happening at all times.
Yeah, at all times. So, I would say that if I had to make a lean towards one or another, that those mid-sized cons,
Okay.
I think are overall my favorite, just because I can be a little bit more personable with people and share more stories and talk to them more and get more out of my fans and people that want to talk to me and things like that than I get to at big shows,
Cool.
real big shows.
Okay.
But like even Origins is a great show because it's just to that point of not being too big.
Yeah.
It's still small enough to be personable, but yet it's still pretty good size.
It's a to me it's a big con that
It
happens
is.
to feel a little more intimate.
Yes. It's like if Gen Con were, yeah, like you said, a little more intimate. You
Yeah.
got to be a little closer to people, but yet it's still
Yeah.
reasonably good size. So, yeah.
So, how did you first get involved with Fifth? Is it pronounced APOC? For Fifth APOC?
Oh, Fifth Epoch Publishing.
APOC.
Okay, so I was at Gen Con in 2012, and I had my portfolio with me, as I often did for many years. Even after working in the industry, I still took my portfolio around to other companies and things like that. And so I had my portfolio with me, and I was with a buddy, and my buddy was going to play in this Metal Magic and Lore game, and it was in one of the hotels next to the downtown convention center for Gen Con. And so I left my portfolio with him because I was hungry and wanted to go down and get food from one of the food trucks that they have outside. And so when I came back, long story short, the guy that was running this game had looked through my portfolio, and he said, Brent, I've met you before. And I didn't realize it was you, but at Archon, which is in Collinsville, right outside of St. Louis, I go there every year, and I've seen you at your booth and stuff, but never, really talked to you. Do you mind if I show this to these guys? Because you've got a piece of art in here that I think fits their wood elves that they have in their game
Ooh.
system. And I think a lot of your stuff would fit. And I know they're looking for a new artist to kind of be their artist, if you will, not just an artist, but their main artist,
Ooh.
because the guy that was working with them moved on to other things and they kind of needed somebody.
Yeah.
And I said, sure, put me in touch. So long story short, he put us in touch, and me and Vito Pandolfo, who's the president of the company, whom I just spoke with on the phone today. As a matter of fact, it's kind of funny. Um, we became very good friends right off the bat. We found that we had a lot of common interests outside of just gaming and styles of games and stuff like that. We both had martial arts backgrounds, music
Cool.
backgrounds, and all kinds of things. And so we just really hit it off. And then next thing you know, I started doing art for them. And so I
Awesome.
started doing, covers for their games and books and things like that. And I'm still working with them today on multiple projects across their, brand, and have helped rebrand them a bit over the years, and update their look a little bit and things like that. And so that's been a really wonderful relationship for 10 years now,
Great.
11 years now, actually.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, and I also do, besides just art and graphic design for them, I also am doing, I do a little bit of game design too. I help with some of the newer material for the Metal Magic and Lore game. I've worked on some of the magic system stuff and some
Ooh.
spells, and just helping play test some of the new rules that they've come out with before they transition to second edition and things like that. Just kind of working my way into a little bit of game design and development and stuff, not on the big league level, but just, trying to, because I've gamed for obviously many years and have a lot of experience with that, and just trying out some things that work or don't work, or to modify a little bit here and there for them. So,
Awesome. And they're not the only game company that you've partnered with. And I'll try not to just talk about Shadowrun,
Right, sure.
but how did you first get involved with Catalyst and you do art for Leviathan's BattleTech and Shadowrun?
Yes. Okay. So here's how that went down. And this is one of those very precise moment stories, which I have a lot of those in my life. And I'm one of those people that has a very, very, very uh, good memory of things. I mean, I can remember things that most people are like, how do you remember those details, dates and stuff? I don't know. It's just there. But so 2016, we're going to wind back to 16 at Gen Con. I had an artist booth there, and I knew that Catalyst Labs was there, and I'd wanted to do work for Shadowrun for many, many, many years. And as I often do, when I want something, I just go for it. I don't play around. I go for it. I will push my way in. I will talk my way in. I will show my portfolio, and I will get what I want. I've done that my entire career.
I just had this image, like it's headcanon now, that you just walked into the Catalyst booth with your portfolio, handed over, and said, "Call me," and left. Like,
You know what's funny is you're not far from wrong. You're not far from wrong. So the only addition that I will add to that story is that I asked for Brent Evans, whom I didn't know at that time. And they said, okay, he's here. And, he's just not here at the booth right at the moment, but he'll be here at 2, whatever time it was, at 2 o'clock today or whatever, and come see him. And okay. So I brought at the time I had a little tablet, like a 10-inch tablet, and I had my entire portfolio on it because it's easier to lug around than the old days of carrying a real portfolio.
A trapper keeper. No.
Yeah, exactly. One of those big leather bound things. So I met with him at the requested time and whatever else. And as soon as I got there, they opened up a line for artists to get into so that they could basically have a portfolio review. And so I happened to be the first one in line.
Ooh.
Because I really wanted to be there. So I went early. I knew where he was going to be. So I just stood there. And so when it came time for him to look at portfolios, I told him who I was, started showing him my portfolio, and he was like, I'm pretty sure I've seen some of your work. You've got a lot of work out there, in different games and different collectible card games and things. I said, yeah, I do. And he immediately took a look at some of my work, pointed out, things that he really liked about these pieces. And as this line of people was forming behind me, and I'm not joking and I'm not stretching the truth here, I would say there was probably 70 artists behind me, roughly. I mean, it was becoming a long line of people. And I remember at one point he said, I love your work. And I'm only looking to work with maybe 2 or 3 artists. And I'm going to say yes to yours because it's fantastic. And the thing that sells me on your work is I can look at a piece and there's a story there. And I don't know what the story is, but I can look at it and go, man, you're a really good storyteller with one image. And that means more to me. He said, plus your people are exquisite. You have a way of doing anatomy and faces, and people look really good. If it's an elf or it's a dwarf or it's a human cyborg or whatever, it looks like what it's supposed to be. There's no question what it is. You've got a really good way of doing people's faces and their body movement, their body language tells a story. And he said, I love that. And I remember immediately he turned around to the line of artists waiting to get in and said, you guys, I'm sorry, but I got to tell you that this guy's in right now. And I might only take 2 more of you. So I'm just warning you all that all of you standing in this line, 90% of you aren't going to make it. Because I got one right here that I'm going to make into one of my main artists. And you see this look on people's faces like, damn, should have been here 5 minutes earlier, or whatever. But that look of disappointment, like, oh man, and that kind of envy look that you get from these guys, like, you're an a-hole,
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm sorry, I just wanted it. And I got the goods.
Yeah. That's so cool.
And that's really where we started. So he said, okay, give me all your contact info and everything else. And then he put me immediately on whatever 5th edition book was out at that time. That was towards the end of, I think, what 5th edition ran. Let's see, I joined in 16. I'm trying to think when 6th World came out.
I think it was
19 or 20.
19, I think.
Yeah, 19. That sounds right. Somewhere in that.
COVID or during COVID.
Yeah. It was just before it. And so I started working with him on whatever, fifth edition book was at that time. And I did a couple of interior pieces for it. And then I ended up doing more and more. They started putting me on as their regular. I would get emails that say, for our A-list team artists. And that's what I've always been through my whole run of everything is I'd always get emails saying, this is for our A-list team.
That's awesome.
So we would be the ones to get our first pick of everything in the book or whatever. And then they even used one of my interior pieces that I did and turned it into the cover of a resource book for magic. It was an expanded magic book.
Was it Street Grimoire or?
No, let me think real quick. Hold on a second. I might have it in front of me here.
Street Weird was 6th edition.
Right. So
Street
Shadowrun.
Grimoire, I think, was 5th.
This one, oh, I know where it is. Here, I can actually tell you what it is. I've got it right here.
We're stopping everything on the show because of my curiosity.
Yeah. No, it's right here in my portfolio that I've got on my desktop. And it is, let me see right where it is, because it's got the name of the book. Here it is. Okay. Forbidden Arcana.
Ooh, the blood magic book.
So yes, so it says Advanced Magic Rules. And it is an image of a guy that is getting pulled through a portal by about 4 of these big chattermouth piranha-looking faced monsters.
That's so
cool.
I
don't know what they are, and it doesn't matter because they told me when I painted them, just make these humanoid-looking shadowy creatures, make them a little blurry, but just make sure that the only thing you can really see in detail with them is that they've got these big mouths with these real long teeth. That was really it. And they said for the guy, just make him have a trench coat on, give him his right hand be cybernetic, and give him like a shotgun on his back, and just have him looking like he's being pulled through some kind of dimension, by these things. And that's
awesome.
So that's what it was. It's Forbidden
Arcana. Who knew that when I got I think Forbidden Arcana was actually coming out one of the first times I met the Shadowrun demo team and stuff like that. And I remember getting a copy of that book before I had most of the other ones because my friend who was one of the writers was like, I already have this here.
Right.
So cool. Who knew? Yeah. It's a small world.
It is very small.
So you have done artwork for Catalyst, for BattleTech, for Leviathans, and for Shadowrun. Of course, I pretty much just have the Shadowrun stuff here.
Sure.
Some of it, but we wanted to do show and tell with you.
Okay.
So here's another piece that I got from Brent. And this
yes, the Scottish orc.
The Scottish orc. So he's in a kilt. And I got this one actually as a gift for a friend because he played Billy Berserker.
Oh, okay.
And would wear the troll face every time they streamed without fail.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So I was like, hey, it's Kender Mage. I got to get it for Kender. So,
nice.
So I still have that for when I see him in person someday.
Right.
And I know you've got a visual aid too.
I sure do. So I managed to, when doing the Sprawl Ops game, which I'm sure you'll get to at some point, I was asked when I took these people's photographs that they sent in as backers for this project, and they wanted to be made into their Shadowrun characters. That was the premise of the art order that I got.
Oh, cool.
Now, on the other end of things, I don't know how any of that works, so I can't speak of it. But anyway, when I was done making these people into their various characters, just like the Willow piece that you had, and that almost kind of like the Scottish orc guy, they went ahead and asked me if I could do one of myself. And they go ahead and pay me for it like a regular port, like I did all the others and stuff. So I said, okay, cool. So I did it and never heard anything more about it. And then in 2020, towards the end of the year, kind of when the pandemic was letting up a little bit, when stores were back open and things like that, I went to a game store in St. Louis, and a friend of mine yelled from across the room, and he goes, Brent, you're on the cover of a Shadowrun game piece. Holy crap, you're a card on here. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So I walked over to him and he brings this. He shows this.
That's cool.
Hopefully you can see that. And they used my art of myself as a Shadowrun character for the cover of this NPC Rogues Gallery deck
That's
that you
so
can
awesome.
play with the game. And so in it as well, I am a playable character called Barrett Rickards, which is a play on my real name, because my real full name is Brent Richard Chumley. So I took Brent and Richard and kind of made it into Barrett and Rickards.
That's
to
awesome.
make it a cool Shadowrunny kind of sounding name. But I am a playable character in the Shadowrun 6th World game.
So in that Rogues Gallery as well,
Yes.
you guys, our audience, have seen another character that's in there. That's Torrin Skelly, who the art is based off our line developer for Shadowrun, Jason Hardy. So now you have in for two of the Rogues Gallery NPCs that you know of. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it was really cool. I was excited to see that because, as a gamer first, and, before I became an artist in the gaming industry, who doesn't want to become a character in a game? And so, I mean, that's been a bucket list item of mine. And then to get to be in Shadowrun, which I'd wanted to do art for since the late 80s when I first heard of the game, that was just really cool. That was one of those moments where you're like, oh,
You'll be getting an email from me requesting a quote on a social adept character. It's
Sure. Totally do that.
The other one I have, I just got from you at GameholeCon, and I had to pry it from under my mouse already here, but I got a mouse pad.
Yes.
Where was this one used?
That one, I don't know. It was used in a book in 6th edition here about 2 years ago. And when I originally illustrated it for the game, the werewolfy looking guy in the background that's being shot at is not actually a part of the art that's in the game. They wanted me to paint him just shooting at nothing because I guess that went with the whatever story that they had in that game.
Right.
Something stalking that character or whatever, and so he's just shooting at it, and you don't see what it is. But to make it something that I thought would kind of fill in that gap, it felt empty to me. It felt like it was an unfinished piece being like that. So of course it was published that way in the book, but I added the werewolf thing to it to make it more of a complete piece.
Awesome.
And I made the one and only play mat there or mouse pad of that, and I decided there that I would give that to you at GameholeCon, and just as a special piece that's not going to be anything that I put into production or that will sell at other shows or things like. Now, if people really want it and they want to order it or something, I can do that, but it's not going to be one that I regularly carry with me to sell. So it's kind of a unique, special item.
Thank you so much. I told Brent I'm so excited when my wall is finished back here. I'm going to have floating white shelves, some LED lights, art pieces and stuff like that. And I might cycle through some stuff because I have so much I want to show. But at some point, I know that mouse pad will be up there.
Awesome. That's awesome. So, thank you.
Of course. And of course, she will.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. How could you not?
Right? Now, your Battletech and your Leviathans are the next things I need to purchase when I see you again at the next con. Because I've got to be fair. If I've got Shadowrun, I have to have Battletech.
That's true. That is very true. Yeah.
But I do love some of your other art that you always have for sale at the cons that I see you at. Mm-hmm. And I know, like, as a marketing person, I know that a lot of marketing and selling is manipulation, and I know 100% I'm being manipulated here. But guys, don't tell me you all don't want one too.
Yes. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, in all transparency, that is the first of what I call my cute Dragon Versus paintings, which is a series that I do that's dragons typically in combat with things like planes and tanks and military vehicles and things like that. But last year I made the decision that I wanted to try doing a line of them where it's cute animals against dragons. And they're not obviously necessarily in combat with them, but just playing with them or having some kind of interaction with them. And I just decided to do it to see if it would sell, if it would be a concept that people would like. because I'm not typically known, nor do I typically do cute stuff. Most of my stuff is hard fantasy science fiction stuff. So I don't know. It was a dipping my toe into new waters with something, and that piece there was the first one I did of that, and it sold like wildfire. And so I thought, well, why not start just making another, make a new series of these, of which I've painted 3 now. There's 2 more in that, and man, I'll tell you what, those things are just incredibly popular.
Yeah.
And everybody that comes up to the booth, of course, connects with a cat or a dog, and they all have their particular pet or their particular preferred dog or cat breed that they would like to see portrayed in one of these,
I'll go get my puppies and show you what your next projects are.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So long story short is I can forever make those. I can forever make those because as long as people love dogs and cats, and I've got one with a squirrel in it. It's not going to be just dogs and cats. I've got a new one coming up with a couple raccoons in it. So I'm going to continue on with animals with dragons.
Brent,
so,
you've got to let me save some money for the other artists.
Yes. No. It's got to be mine, all mine.
People are going to be like, ooh, you changed the art. What's up there now? And who's it by? I'm going to be like, still Brent.
Yeah, still Brent. It's still Brent.
Awesome. Oh, it's so cool. It's at GameholeCon, Brent and I were having a conversation, and I finally just had to leave because someone came over and started playing with looking through the puppy and the kitten dragon ones, and then like 4 more people came over. I'm like, yep. I'm gonna let you work. I'm gonna go.
Those pieces definitely draw a crowd, which is why I put them up front. Yeah. And then it leads them to my other stuff, of course. But, that's what it's all about, right? It's, if you're an artist out there selling and, you're doing all kinds of work that you love to do, and it's not all about just working for gaming companies like what we're just talking about here. This is my own creation. This is my own thing. It's not for companies. It's not, I'm not going to say that I would never license it for stuff or whatever, but for right now, it's just my own thing. And I do it because I see the look on people's faces. Every person, yourself included, that walks up and sees one of those gets the biggest ear-to-ear grin on their face, and they just love them. They just love them, and I just love that look on people. I love knowing that I just made somebody's day because they saw something that was just so adorable, as they like to use that word. That it just makes their day, and it makes my day because of that. So
the kitten itself is cute too. And the puppy one is a corgi puppy, guys. Like,
yes, it is
corgi, but like it's a cute baby dragon too. Like,
yes,
look at this again, guys. Baby dragon, and he's taking a nap, and Kitty's not letting him take a nap. Like,
right, absolutely.
Oh, it's so cute. Oh,
and of course, a lot of people, they come up and they see that piece and they immediately say, "Oh, that's one dead cat." And the name of the piece is Playtime. So I'm like, and I don't care what people, I don't want to correct people if that's the story that plays out in their head and they still like it and buy it. Well, then I've still done my job.
Yeah.
And that's another thing with a lot of my art, even the gaming art, which is illustrative, is a great deal of it. I try to leave open-ended like that so that you can make your own conclusion as to what's going to happen. I like people to fill in the blank instead of just give them the blatant story. I like them to go, "Oh, what's going to happen here? Is this dragon going to do this, or is this animal going to do?" Well, I don't know. And then it's different for different people. And I like that too. It's kind of like the music of the band Tool. Their lyrics are written that way specifically so that they knew what they were talking about, but they will tell the audience, this is whatever it means to you is what it means.
Well, and you were talking earlier about the Brent Evans saying that, who, by the way, I should fill in, is the art director for Catalyst Game Labs.
Yeah.
But your art telling a story. So not only do you have the story of the kitten and the dragon and what's going to happen, but also when you finally zoom out from the cute and you take a look at the rest of what's happening, like it looks like they're on this fine table. There's a stone hearth.
Yep.
Like, are they in a castle?
Exactly.
Like, you start to extrapolate on that too, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, and I'm known for doing detailed backgrounds in my pieces, and so these aren't any different. And so I try to put them in locales and locations that they won't always be medieval. I mean, there's going to be modern ones and some that just transcend eras, anyway. But yeah, I try to put them in places and things to kind of make you think, where are they at? Where's even like the corgi one? It looks like it could be modern because people still have brooms and stuff near their fireplaces. So it can be modern, but it could also be medieval because in that one, it's vague enough that it could be any time period, really. Yeah. It's not specific to any one.
Awesome.
And I'm trying to keep them to that, except where it really needs to be.
Yeah.
And the squirrel and the dragon one's the same way. They're just out in winter scene. So there's it could be medieval, it could be modern day, it could be any time. There's no reference in it to.
Do you do wallpapers?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what's better than that is vinyl. Vinyl prints can be placed on your wall because then you can peel it off at any time you want and move things like that. And yes, I have made a few of my pieces into wall vinyls, like those fatheads that they make or whatever. They used to call them fatheads. They were a company that made those, like professional football players that you could put on your wall. Wall, and that's what they were. They were just basically vinyl stickers that you could put on your wall and peel it off when you wanted. And yeah, that's just vinyl stickers. And yes, I definitely can have my art made that way and put, you can get a car wrap with my art on it if you want.
And I have so much money, Brent.
Yeah.
I'm going to call
you. There you go. There you go. It can be done.
I'm off book again. I think we talked about a lot of this though. Like, were there any artists that inspired you to start? We talked about Elmore.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Elmore, easily. All of your TSR artists, Parkinson, all of them. But I was also, even younger than that, was very inspired by comic book art, of course. And I didn't know who a lot of the artists were when I was a little kid. I just knew I liked the art. But also things like Savage Sword of Conan magazines and the old Warren Publications magazines, like Creepy and Eerie magazine and Vampirella magazine, and all of those horror-esque type magazines, Famous Monsters, and all that had a lot of European artists in them that were illustrating the stories. Heavy Metal magazine. I can't tell you how many of those artists influenced me. And I can name them now, but at the time I didn't know who they were, or what they meant to me. Rich Corbin was one of them. His Meatloaf Bat Out of Hell album cover was a huge inspiration to me. There were a lot of art inspirations for me growing up as a little kid and seeing album cover artwork and comic books and magazines and all that, and just internalizing all that in my head and, absorbing all that. And then, of course, later with the TSR artists, and of course, your Frank Frazettas and Boris Vallejos and all those people that are, that everybody knows in the industry and, that are the originators of fantasy art from back in the 50s and 60s and 70s and that kind of stuff. All of those people inspired me. The Molly Hatchet album covers, which were Frazetta paintings that they used, that kind of stuff. And that's what drew me to heavy music too, because they had the best album covers. I mean, they were all fantasy art, fantasy sci-fi art. There's a lot of bands that I would never have been turned on to had it not been for the album cover. I would have never known who Meatloaf was and loved that album had it not been for that cool Rich Corbin album cover on it.
That's awesome.
So Nazareth, Hair of the Dog, cool album cover. Put on the record, wow, these guys are awesome too. It's not just the art, the band is great.
I want you to know, Brent, that my producer, so I have a Google document with the like questions to ask and our script and stuff like that. And I can literally watch him typing in the document, saying opening up shop for his website BTW. Like and now he just made a big heart emoji.
Nice. Yeah, I will have a new website. I'm building it this month, and I do. The plan is to have a shop on there so I can sell my t-shirts and my prints and, mouse pads, play mats, and whatever other stuff that I can put Brent Chumley art on as time goes by, and,
That's awesome.
whatever. So
Cool.
yeah.
So we're getting close to the end of time here. So I have one more question for you. Anything exciting coming up for you that you're allowed to talk about?
For anything specific or just in general?
Just in general.
In general, yeah, I have a lot of projects on my plate. I've always got a lot of card and role-playing game projects going on all the time. But I also have a lot of private commissions and things like that that I'm going to be tying in to possibly Shadowrun and definitely BattleTech stuff as we go along here. So I've got that. I've got more stuff for Fifth Epoch. Of course, I've got more of my Dragons Versus stuff, both the serious stuff I'm doing and the cute stuff with the animals and things like that. That's all in the pipeline too. So I've got a busy winter coming up.
Awesome. Well, the rest of us will be hibernating from conventions. You'll be busy at work for next year.
Yes, that's right. I'll be waiting to reveal my new works come next March at my next upcoming shows that I'm booked for. So
cool. What are you going to be at?
Okay, so my first show next year. Actually, let me pull back a minute. Let me plug the show I'm going to do tomorrow. So this weekend, I am not just the artist guest of honor, but the guest of honor at the second annual EffingCon convention in Effingham, Illinois.
Cool.
So I was asked last year to be their guest of honor for this year. And so I will be there Saturday and Sunday at the EffingCon. It's the Park Village Mall or something like it's not in my head right at the moment, but it's at the mall there in Effingham, and so I'm doing that one, and that ends my convention run for this year.
Okay.
So my first convention next year was just confirmed today, as a matter of fact, and I will be a special guest artist at Peoria Con for the end of March in Peoria, Illinois.
Cool.
Then after that is Gary Con.
I'll see you there.
So on and so on. So you'll be at that one?
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Yeah, that's a great convention. I love Gary Con.
It used to be my favorite convention until Gamehole Con.
Well, Gamehole is, I mean, that's to me is an apple and an orange. I can't. There's things I like about Gary Con. There's things I like about Gamehole Con, and I can't really say one's better than the other. It's.
I love them both.
Great.
And for very similar reasons. I think that the things that I love about Gary Con, Gamehole Con is just more of a variety for. So it's focused on RPGs, but not just D&D.
Yes, absolutely.
Not that you can't find other things at Gary Con, but there's a lot more of it at Gamehole.
I agree with that. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see you there.
Yes, absolutely.
Where can our audience find you to shop, to interact with you, to watch what you've got coming out next?
Okay, so like I said, I'll be having a new website coming out this month, and it'll be at brentchumley.com.
Awesome.
And I also have the Art of Brent Chumley on Facebook. And of course, I'm always updating stuff on there too with art that I've got and things like that so people can see. And of course, you can always private message me on either one of those. Of course, on the website once it's done this month. And, they can contact me through my Art of Brent Chumley. You can message me on there. My email is usually on there and things like that as well. So there's a number of ways you can definitely reach out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been so much fun. I've really had a blast.
Easy to talk to you. I can go off book because I'm just like, I want to know more, Brent. Tell me more.
Well, thank you. It's easy for me to talk. I can talk for days and go on.
It makes my job easy. It's harder when I have the people that come on and I'm like, so how did you first get into gaming? I played D&D when I was 16.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Tell me more about that.
Exactly. Yeah, some people just don't interview well. They don't.
It's okay.
Things, and that's perfectly fine.
It's my job to pull it out.
Exactly. Well, you do a really good job. This has been.
Thanks. It's easy for you because again, we've just been able to talk since then, and love the Shadowrun work. I can't wait to see what else comes out, and Thank you for your energy and all that you do for the gaming community.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
But don't you go anywhere because we will be back right after this.
Well,
Don't forget that we have a wonderful giveaway of a Shadowrun 6th World Core Rulebook PDF. Type hashtag RemPC in the chat for your free entry to win. And don't forget to get bonus entries by donating bits and subscribing. All funds help us to pay our cast and crew and keep producing content. Now, thank you all for joining. We are on to our next episode of Shadowrun, Emerald Glitch, Dandelions, and Checkpoints. See you there, RemPCs. Bye.
Can I just ask, what does a summoning tea kettle look like?
Oh, a summoning tea kettle. It is made out of cast iron that has been painted ritually with symbols in blood, obviously, that are then coated and shellacked over so that they don't flake off, that way it can last for centuries. And we use a nice clear coat, though, so you can see them quite nice, quite clear. We mix in, with the blood, we mix in the iridescent paint, so it gives us a nice little beautiful shimmer, especially as it heats up. And as you heat it up, that's where the magic happens, because that is when all of the symbols start to glow and get bright and beautiful. And as the tea kettle whistles, that is the summoning ritual complete.
If you have an interest in using the summoning tea kettle, or taking part in any of the other worlds in our games, you don't have to have experience. Just join our Discord, and the GMs will work with you and help you find a game you enjoy. The link is in the chat.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?
What a spell!
Spell.
Spell!
Spells.
She says spell like 92 times. Spell, 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 spell,
You get to play with us now, which is so exciting. So with channel points, bits, and subscribes, you can give rewards to the player of your choice. So how to do that is, no, not Bob. Channel points, I believe it is 500 points, gets you NERPs, which is +3 to any dice roll to the player of your choice. For 1,000 channel points, you can do a point of edge to any player. And for 2,500 channel points, you can do 4 edge to the player of your choice. Now for bits, for 100 bits, that's $1, you can do the NERPs. For 200 bits, that's $2, you can do the point of edge. Or for 500 bits, that's $5, get 4 edge to give to the player of your choice. And finally, again, the subs, if you subscribe, you can give 4 edge to any player.
Hey, everybody. Hey there, Gen Con TV watchers. Welcome to an amazing episode of Shadowrun Emerald Glitch, but not the normal Shadowrun Emerald Glitch. This is going to be a Shadowrun Glitchcast. Our numbers of players are low. We're very close to the end of our story. And to move forward at this point in time, we'll do less service to the story and less service to the players and the character growth that they're going through for the purpose of making it entertaining. Because, it's got to be fun. It's got to be entertaining. So, it's different tonight. But anywho, I'm Max, your host from Original Box Set. We have with us Steel Tiger, who's played by... His name should be under his thingy. I don't know where he's at.
Above his thingy.
Yeah.
Above me. He's above me.
Oh, no, he's to
I'm right
your
next to you.
left.
You're at my left.
Yeah.
Other
Whichever is
left.
touch-
my
touch-
left.
oh, the other
You're
left.
right.
Oh. We're connecting. We are connecting. Look at us.
That way.
Is this working? Yeah. Okay. All right. And there's the player who plays our Cole and does our tech.
Hey there, I'm
It's amazing.
Tyler.
He's very busy. So this glitchcast, we're going to talk about where the games come from, where the game's going as far as it goes. For our story, we're going to talk to the players that are here and kind of get an idea about progress. And we're also going to kind of talk about the ins and outs of the characters themselves and shoot the we're PG-13. Shoot the hoop for a while.
You can still say one. I'd
Shoot the
hold off
track.
for the first few minutes, though.
Yeah.
What?
We still have our
Wait,
one,
wait.
but you just hold off for a little while, though.
Sure, can do.
Like the penguins of Madagascar.
Hold. In the beginning, I started this game. I realized I wanted to tell a story that not only hits a lot of cool buttons, but also hits really close to home for all of us playing the game and all of us watching the game. Because in the future of this Shadowrun world, one of the biggest things I kept talking about was that the weather was known. It was planned. They knew when it was going to rain, and they knew how long, and everything was great. And of course, in the most recent part of the story, that's completely disappeared. And Steel Tiger has felt it the most because his business revolves around water.
Yeah, it's kind of
Wa-
hard to make tea without water.
It's just crunchy leaves. Take some of it and put it in your lip like they did back in the Depression era, the snuff boxes or something. Ooh. I don't know if that'll work.
Jasmine snuff or whatever.
Oh, no.
A lip full of jasmine. Ginseng.
Maybe ginseng. Ooh, that's a bit much. But I guess it could work.
A little bit strong for my taste.
It's not for the weak willed.
Mine too. So without water, there is no tea. It's just dried up leaves that you're nomming on. And so what I wanted to tell the story, and when Amber, who's playing Nova, who's playing Amber.
I thought she was called Abuelita.
No, you got it. Nova, who's playing Amber.
Right. Right.
They're the same person.
Abuelita, when she said she still wanted to play her character from the previous game, I was like, okay, that's cool. This fits in really well because then I can bring in that outside perception. And that was great because now we, the audience, the players, all had someone we could actually be like, okay, we know where this person's coming from. Now they're in a future that's somewhat different. Let's see how, we can work with that. And oceans being gone, everything drying up. was supposed to kind of showcase something that happens in our world, and it's a bad thing. And that is the fact that and we talked about this earlier, as humans, we perceive time because we want to. But we perceive it in such a small manner, and it takes big steps a long time. So those long periods of time which change takes place over, we don't see it. It's almost invisible to us. So when I started prompting all the players ahead of time, all but Nova, I kept telling them, hey guys, this is normal. This is normal for you. You're normal with this. You're normal. And so we got a chance to see how people who have lived in this world where water is a scarcity, costs about, last time we did it was what, 200 nuyen a liter or 20 nuyen a liter or something like that.
It was like 200 or something.
So,
like that.
Something crazy.
Yeah, on the market, yeah. And so that scarcity was normal. And so in our world, and this is like the story to take home at the end of this season, is that what you perceive is just our brief moment. But what the world really is much larger. And it lasts a lot longer than we ever will conceive. And so the changes will live beyond us. They will come before us. They will come after us. And whatever world we live in now is not the world that was there beforehand. And so that was kind of the story that I wanted to portray. And now in the game, there is no rain.
No, and I love the fact that we were able to work in someone who could experience both of those eras, because I don't know if there would have been a better way to get that across other than to have someone in cryostasis pull grandma out from the Stuffer Shack vaults and just have fun.
How long was she in there again? Like 40, 50 years, something like that?
It was longer than that, I thought.
Let's see. The game year is 21-23, and if I remember correctly, 2086 was when that ended. So that's 40 years.
Okay. So yeah, like 40, 50 years. So my question is, like, was there like a nuclear war or something? Did they just set off every nuke at once in the like? How did all of the ocean go?
Greed.
40 years.
Greed can move mountains with only a couple of decades, brother.
I mean, but can it unstopper the sea? That's my question.
Which is a great question. And if you read through the lore for the Shadowrun world, there are these portals that open up that allow people and animals and things to pass through. And these portals go to other worlds. Nothing says those portals have to be on land. Nothing says they can't be at the bottom of the ocean. And so
just interdimensionally jacking our ocean water, is that?
That is correct. Lore-wise, as far as the game goes, there is someone jacking the oceans. And it's not on purpose. This is happening by accident. Do people know? Is there like a group of people who might know about it? Sure. Do they care? Maybe. Are they trying to stop it? It's too late. A decent portion of the ocean is already gone. That being said, though, our wonderful Bob was hanging out in the audience one night, and he just threw, which I loved, because he completely threw out the curtain and said, "The Great Pacific Spirit has been captured?" ? And I'm like, yes.
How did you know?
So every great ocean, every great thing has a spirit linked to it in some way, shape, or form. And Vought, the lady herself, figured out a way to capture that spirit. So you take the spirit from the ocean. What's that?
I said, "Where's Iroh?" I feel like we're about to raid the Northern Water Temple right now, dude.
Which is ironic because that's who you've modeled your character after. Right? And so there's like some level of and dude, like I kid you not, she isn't a firebender, but she is definitely an adept. That's how she has gotten where she's at, because she's a physical adept. So if you and Vought tied up, Vaught's your character's age too. So I mean, it's like you guys are pretty much not an she's not your antithesis. She's just on the opposite side of where you exist, you know? But yeah,
she's an antagonist, a peer.
She's an yeah, an antagonist, a big antagonist. And so yeah, they captured the spirit, and that portal is open. I imagine there's more than one portal, but let's just kind of boil it down to there's one portal open. That's making all the difference. And then she took and captured the spirit. Now, of course, at that time, when she did that, it wasn't like, oh, we will capture the spirit and control the weather. She was thinking, we'll capture the spirit and bring the ocean back because we don't know where the ocean's going. Honestly, in the beginning, she was very altruistic about the actions they were taking. But then Nuyen signs popped up, and that changed the whole world. Because, now it didn't matter if the ocean disappears. She could just make it rain. People would pay her, and it would rain.
No, is that like a private society of like the super elite rich, or is that are you thinking like it's a government subsidization?
I'm sure that Vought Industries got subsidized in the beginning, and it was probably a select group of people who helped funded a lot of her actions. Not that she is like the engineering powerhouse behind capturing the spirit or the magical powerhouse behind capturing it, but she's definitely the leader that made it all happen. And as far as like game setup goes, she's definitely seized the control from all the other groups that had their fingers in the pie in the beginning, and then now it's just her. She's in control of all of that, including like a lot of the Emerald City itself, that giant city above the city. That right there isn't hers. That's just, she's part of that. That's a collection of other super powerful, wealthy individuals and government agencies, like you just mentioned. That's what that is. And there are others around the world. The one that is at Seattle is the only one I'm worried about for the story, and the only one I'm worried about for the progress of the story. The other ones, do they exist? Can they do stuff? Will they happen? Sure. But again, humans, we live our 60 to 80 year lifespan of consciousness like this. And so that's all I had to really build. I don't have to build everything else when kind of generating this.
No, I mean, absolutely. Other than the fact that doesn't that mean that Steel Tiger grew up during the times where it did actually rain?
Oh, I remember when the last rain fell. Like,
you know what? Yeah, I mean that's a call he gets to make. How old is Steel Tiger again? Like he's in his 50s?
he's like 57. Something like that,
So
58.
yeah, you were a child because she's 62. So she's only like 4 years older than you, and I'm assuming it wasn't until her 30s before she did all that amazing stuff that she did and created the Citizens Weather Sphere. So the first 26 years of your life, there was real rain. It's just the latter half of your life, there was not rain. But the ocean's receding, that started back in like the 2090s, the mid 2090s. So that's something as a young person you started to experience. Right off, Steel Tiger was like, people were probably talking about it at the time. The ocean is supposed to be, oh, I thought you said it was going to be global warming and the ice caps were going to melt, and then all of a sudden the coastlines were going to be flooded. We got more beachfront property, people. This is great.
You can walk to Japan. Like,
damn. Oh, hey, you've got something to.
I just now saw it.
But yeah, no, it's welcome to Japan. You gotta think about that for a minute. Hey, that's a very long distance away. But to be able to walk to Japan right now in our lifetime, right now, that's crazy talk. Like, what do you got on? Boat shoes that allow you to be like a boat person walking across the water? What are you, some sort of giant gecko monster that you can run across the ocean? No, there's just no ocean between here to there.
Listen, I've been thinking about it since it was said. You were modeled after Uncle Iroh, and then you gave up letting Arcole be your spider monkey. I can't help but feel like
I
that
never
doesn't
gave you up.
fit. Hey! Listen, I was running. This man was panting. He has a 2 in well, I say athletics, but the what's the shot? Agility,
Body,
body. What's the quick one?
agility, reflexes.
Reflex. Regardless, Arcole has none of that. And you didn't let him spider monkey while running away from the giant troll. It was from the troll vampire hospital. He was like, "Ah, you got it." We both had to hop on a Nova just to get out of there.
Yeah, I let you go. I let you leave so you didn't get hit while I fought the troll vampire in single combat.
I mean, all right, sure.
I was expecting to get struck, right? And then I didn't want you to take the brunt of it, so I took you off of me, so I could go kill mode.
Reaction is how quick you respond, but running speed can be enhanced by rolling athletics plus agility. I must have been thinking about
What is what was it called? A
reaction
boy or what's the technical term for the vampire troll dealie?
Oh,
That's
what
a
were
good
they
question.
called?
It's in my notes somewhere.
See, this is where Nova would pop in and then give us
the Nova
name,
fact.
and then like the time it was like created or whatnot.
Right?
Notable ones in lore.
And lore that I
here we
didn't know
go.
could have lore.
That didn't help. That doesn't help. Formalag? No. Formarag? No, that's not it. Mutaku. Mutaqua. Mutaku. Mutaqua. I don't know. I'm not good with Mutaqua. Mutaqua. There we go. Muta. I will put it in chat because I can do that. Right? Watch it be a link, and it's like, no, you can't share that.
Sorry, that's actually a phishing scheme.
Yes, click my link.
I feel like Iroh would have protected Arcole, is all that I'm saying.
I did protect you. But were you hurt by that? Were you hurt by it?
No, I wasn't.
All right. Did we make it safely to the
you know I'm messing with you.
Yeah.
He just wants to make sure that you know that Steel Tiger
I'm still
had
thinking
your
about
back.
No,
anything that they just know that when I came down that tunnel, I was thinking anything that they do to Arcole, I'm going to give back to them tenfold. Right?
Thank you.
All right, I had you on my mind.
No, it's okay.
That
Well,
was fun.
Well, I mean, even just the episode right before this one, like I'm obviously just kidding, but even the episode right before this one, like, goodness, great, like you and Techno Siren, just like flying down immediately.
Techno Siren snapped off. She went Super Saiyan. She went to the astral form. just manifested in the middle of a moving van, like opened the door, just went back into her body. It was like
threw your butt
that
out.
way. The entire time she's just like Bernie, like Weekend at Bernie's, just like arms flopping off the back of my motorcycle.
Rope around her chest, rope around her head to the back of your head,
just
keeping her upright.
fully limp. Oh my goodness. And meanwhile, she did all of that damage inside the van. Like, oh.
And then when we finally got there, then she was just like, oh, okay, what does this thing do? Lightning ball just explode.
yeah. That was another thing. I've definitely stretched the rules of what magic was allowed to do because the world's different. There's more magic in the world.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, it's like materializing and isn't you're not able to do the things that I'm allowing her to do because that's just the rules for that version of Shadowrun, that age. And in this age, there's more magic.
Well, I
way
mean,
more magic.
There's nothing like as far as like being a game runner is concerned. So long as you're not changing something integral about the world, I feel like oh well now there happens to be a higher influx of magic or like these certain things can happen whereas normally in previous iterations they could not. Like it's always
Right.
moving forward, and who says that
Always.
that magic can't drop back off at some point, or like some massive like absorption event happens or something.
Yeah, or adsorption, not just absorption, adsorption, where the amount gets too much and something great happens or something terrible happens. Which is kind of what the whole game is heading toward in the big scheme of things, like the whole Halley's Comet returning. It was a very big like lore point that was like, oh, Halley's Comet came and then stuff. Not necessarily magic, but other things. And so when I was looking at the lore for this part, I was like, okay, where are we at? Where's Halley's Comet? Let's go like a decade or two beforehand so that we could kind of like have this lead up to. I didn't want to do it right before. I didn't want to be like, oh, now Halley's Comet's here, because technically, since we're talking about like Halley's Comet, and as a scientist, I love science, I love physics and stuff like that. Halley's Comet actually enters the solar system years before it gets anywhere near Earth. So it's not like we can see it, so it's finally here. No, it's in the system. And if Halley's Comet brings about changes, that takes place in areas of our solar system well before it gets anywhere near Earth. And since it'd be the year 2138, 33, 2130, 2129 or some stuff. Anyways, it would happen before it even could be seen by Earth. I assumed, and this was a conversation I had with Bob as well, that there would be fanatics being like, hey, now that we can go into outer space, we can go and put the space station way over there and see Halley's Comet when it first comes in. And the next game I run for the 2123, this future version, is going to be the moment after Halley's Comet comes into the system, which is, one of the reasons all the dragons are gone. They're not gone because like they're worried about their life and stuff like that. They're gone because Halley's Comet is coming back. And that's a phenomenal moment. That's a huge moment. And so the next game I run to kind of like move this story into whatever chapter 2 it will be is going to be at the moment Halley's Comet has entered the system. And spoiler or not, you guys are watching now, you'll hear it. The beginning of that game is going to be talking about the news going, and International Space Station such and such, which is out beyond Jupiter, doing astrological studies and stuff like that. We'll be viewing has started to view Halley's Comet as it enters into our system right now, and we're going to get a live feedback from them to find out what they see and everything. It's going to be great. And there's just going to be about a 7-minute delay, and so the person's talking, he's on the screen, and this astronaut comes on, and he's just like talking about all this stuff, and he's not necessarily an astronaut, maybe he's like a businessman, who cares. But there's also a dragon at the station itself, because time has passed. Creatures of supernatural prowess can leave, and so while at that station, we're watching this 7-minute delay of this broadcast from that station. All of a sudden, everything starts going chaotic because Halley's Comet shows up, and they're screaming and things happening. And people are like, we got to do something. We got to do something. And the newscaster just says at that point in time, in this part of the intro, there's nothing we can do. All that happened like 7 minutes ago. And then it segues into the players, because like, that's going to be the intro into that game.
No, very nice. Very nice.
That'd be sick.
Right? Like, and the whole world would know Halley's Comet has entered the system. But people out on that space station, something happened to them, and maybe there's a live feed, maybe something pops up. And that game, when I do it, I'm going to design it on one of 4 major corporations where they've gathered together a ragtag team of Shadowrunners, ex-Shadowrunners, and just like, we need you guys to work with us. We're going to send you out there to go see what's going on. And then we're going to clear all the debts and everything else you have. Basically, you're going into outer space to a space station where there's weirdness. So it's kind of, there was a video game similar to that, Dead Space.
Oh,
yeah. I've played Dead Space.
Mm.
It's not
I've never
zombies,
played
by
it.
the way. Couple of keys out of that one, because I liked it.
I thought you took another page out of Avatar there for a second when you were talking about the comet. I was like, oh, is magic getting crazy when Halley's Comet shows up? Is that what
Yeah,
we're all
going with?
firebenders out here.
We're all firebenders now, man.
Well, sometimes the best stories are told when you borrow from other great stories. And am I going to say that no or yes? But I did watch the entire Airbender Avatar series, so maybe. The comet relation, of course, is very Shadowrun-esque to its lore, so that's why I'm leaning into the Halley's Comet. If you didn't know, when Halley's Comet last arrived, globalization took place. At the same time, globalization, Halley's Comet. Does that mean like Halley's Comet is going to come back and everybody's goblinized? Not necessarily. Something happens.
A new era of change.
Obama returns.
No more pennies, just dimes, nickels, and quarters.
Oh my goodness. No. I love that. And I love I can't stress enough how much I love between seasons, whether it be of, different campaigns of D&D or like seasons of a show, that continuation factor is what keeps on pulling me back. Because I don't know, you can call me a sap, you can call me like a little bit too, I let things get attached very quickly, and whenever a series can genuinely continue a story, I'm all over that. If I already love the original, I know I'm going to love the sequel if it's told within the same kind of world.
Cool. I agree.
Or at least a world that,
a lot
like,
of faith in some sequels, man. I've seen a lot of crappy sequels.
well, those are sequels that didn't stay true to the previous. Was it Shrek 2, best sequel? All right, it stayed true.
Terminator
Mainly
2
a
is the
joke,
best
but-
sequel.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
All
but,
right,
mainly a joke, but like, still, any world with any sort of cohesiveness where like, oh, if there's a major change, there's a reason for it. Either it's time, either it's an event. But moving into that part 2 or part 3, however, it's beautiful and it keeps me watching it.
Yeah. My favorite, and I've seen most of them, are How to Train Your Dragon. The world
Fair.
grows through there's growth in every single one of them. The first one was good. You get introduced to the characters, the concept. And the second one, there's more growth, more dragons, more writing, more questions answered. The third one, again. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's not the world's greatest. It's not like, but it's got continuity, and there's something about that. Like the Avatar series has continuity, and I don't mean the Blue Alien movies. Whatever. I'm talking about the Airbender. I will never reference that movie other than that the movie James Cameron got high on drugs, boosters, and started talking about Indians attacking the space shuttle. If you've never heard that, that's an interesting place where that came from. James Cameron, Indians attacking a space shuttle. That man. Anywho, the Airbender series, phenomenal in my book. Incredibly well written.
And even though there is a time skip between that and Korra, I know that we're going like hard into this Avatar line, but even with a time skip, you can make it work. Even without the major connection with that we happen to have with Nova, being frozen and literally moving between these two times, she may as well have time traveled. Even without that, there were ways to connect it, but in order to enhance the differences between the two times, I don't think that there could have been a better way.
Yeah. What do you think, Chris? Do you think there'd been a better way to like have that bridge between what we're used to versus the world that we were portraying in?
Was there a better way? I'm not sure. Like I don't like. I'm of the opinion that, of course, there's always like you can always improve on something, right? But like, can I think of it right now? Nope. I'm still tripping over the fact that she's like running off Windows XP. Like, I just thought that was
my jokes towards Nova feel as they're coming out of my mouth, they feel so aggressive.
You sound aggressive sometimes.
I don't mean it at all. I love Amber, and like I just know that was like the initial interaction, especially with me. I'm so used to the like either neutral good or like or lawful good character. I'm so used to that only because I've been playing one of them for like a good like year and a half now. And that was my first D&D character. I'm so sorry. The CEO of Catalyst is trying to call me.
Busy.
I'm busy,
on the stream,
man.
he should be putting this into the chat. Come on, man.
Honestly, he should be coming in.
He should. There he goes. He just wrote something. You should read what it. Oh, that's Tom. I've never. Hey, Tom.
No, it is. Yeah. No, it absolutely is fun playing a jerk every once in a while because actually in kids on mechs, I played a bully, but a bully that was like very insecure about the fact that they're a bully, which is honestly really fun to play. But like still that aggressiveness factor I am not used to, and being uncouth and like trying to be like standoffish was so very difficult to me.
I think you've done a good job pulling it off.
Thank you. Thank you, I think. I'm so sorry, Chris, I interrupted you.
Oh, what? You did?
Talking about better ways to tie the
Let's leave that
tie
behind.
stories together. Fair.
Ooh. I have some constructive conversation for us, since we've got like 2 more episodes. Hopefully we'll have everybody back. And this is like, we have 2 real options in which we can look at. You guys can either go after setting free the spirit. I can see that happening, taking a session or 2, or going after the city to protect the future. You're like, I really see that's the dilemma, that the end of the story, what you guys do affects the next story I tell, you know. If you guys choose to free the water spirit or choose to go and blow up the city elevator like planned.
I mean, I'm kind of a fraud if I don't lean towards getting the ocean spirit now, right? Now that we've made this connection about Avatar for like the last 45 minutes or whatever. Like, I gotta go save the ocean spirit, right?
Well, I mean, I kind of think that I think that Arkol would kind of lean the same way, actually. Just with him trying to embrace his more magical, spiritual side, since that has come to pass. Which, I mean, we can talk about more like character growth stuff later on, but I think Arkol would kind of have to be on that side too.
Cool.
Man. I mean, the city's the city, man, but the ocean affects the world, man.
Exactly.
The world.
The world. I like that. I really do. Because like that segues into my next story arc, going back in this day and age. There was this great moment in Seattle where the water spirit was set free, or the city was attacked and it wasn't able to launch. And so these are the reasons you're starting in Seattle. Cool.
No, very true. Oh, well, we can talk about it a little bit more. But I'm going to have to go use the bathroom, and we should go to a 5-minute break.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. We'll be right back, everyone.
Can I just ask, what does a summoning tea kettle look like?
Oh, a summoning tea kettle. It is made out of cast iron that has been painted ritually with symbols in blood, obviously, that are then coated and shellacked over so that they don't flake off, that way it can last for centuries. And we use a nice clear coat, though, so you can see them quite nice, quite clear. We mix in with the blood, we mix in the iridescent paint, so it gives us a nice little beautiful shimmer, especially as it heats up. And as you heat it up, that's where the magic happens, because that is when all of the symbols start to glow and get bright and beautiful. And as the tea kettle whistles, that is the summoning ritual complete.
If you have an interest in using the summoning tea kettle, or taking part in any of the other worlds in our games, you don't have to have experience. Just join our Discord, and the GMs will work with you and help you find a game you enjoy. The link is in the chat.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?
Hey everybody, welcome back. So we're back to our Emerald Glitch cast. Yeah. And so I kind of wanted to engage the players a little bit and talk about their characters. And before we left for the commercial break, we had an opportunity to talk to our Tyler about Arcole, about how he is playing him somewhat of an uncouth individual when dealing with other characters. So I wanted to kind of like have a moment to have him talk about his character a little bit and you know, get some questions asked and stuff like that. So and I know when we were setting everything up for this game, you had a lot on your plate to begin with, but when you started creating Arcole, what was your thoughts during the character creation process that you started pulling in to go, this is the personality I think the character should have?
Well, a little bit of it was absolutely me being unfamiliar with Shadowrun in general. So the isolation of our Cole absolutely helped. But also I did want to kind of tie together a couple of different eras, much in the fact of um Arcole's PMax Gross, which both of their names are heavily tied to historical battles. But on top of that, uh, there was a lot of connection with the previous era of Gross going back and showing Arcole all of these, all of like anything that he could get a hold of in the Matrix, whether that be, you know, old jazzercise videos or you know, like old commercials or stuff like that, like with the whole Elefun connection there, and whatever he could possibly get a hold of before the major events of Shadowrun took place. I definitely wanted that to be a heavy connection, but that was before I knew about the larger connection with um or how strong of a role Nova's connection to the previous season would play. But regardless, I absolutely love that because he's still uncouth. He's still like calling Nova a dinosaur. Uh but also he knows all of these things about the past, and I love that, but still does not know how to just talk to somebody properly. He's getting better. He just he had a long way to go.
So that your character doesn't have like poor social skills, but yet you play him like he does have poor social skills. What was your deciding factor to kind of like not lean heavily into, because you have average social stats?
Well, I just figured that the isolation that he experienced early on in life, and I kind not necessarily abuse. I wouldn't say quite that far, but experimentation on absolutely.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
given the nature of his character, I mean, the viewers have seen that he's he's a decker that has, you know, some some he's not adept with it, but some control over magic. Um, like something had to have happened there, and it.
Yeah.
I figured that after that much isolation, someone has to be jaded towards trying to make any sort of genuine connection, other than the one that Arcole already has, which is Gross, which is effectively him.
Effectively, yes. So when we were setting up for the game and you were kind of trying to figure out your personality, you veered toward um the fact that your character was neglected and you're just like, this has affected me, and my only true like positive responses have come from this fake version of me, which is like a mirror. So imagine looking into a mirror and befriending yourself. That's my friend in there. That's the best friend in the world. He loves me. I love you. I love you back. Right at, you know what I'm saying? High five. Yeah. Every time hits perfectly. You go to hug and they're hugging you, trying to hug you back at the same time. So yeah, I can definitely see how Gross was seen as favorable in comparison to others. Definitely. When we got to a point where that background was starting to come to fruition, where it was found out that the professor, the person that was doing the experimentation, had a name, that the reason you were able to get out was because somebody on the outside had found you and had made efforts to get you out. And go back, watch the old episodes, you'll catch up on all of that stuff. So what blossomed from that was, and that's what recently we experienced, was that Grouse was no longer just the only person. There were connections to other people. And like, you connected to Steel Tiger very quickly because one, he was able to help you out, get away from those trains, hopping the train rails when they were coming in. That was a fun little part of the game.
Yeah, that was
So you
great.
started making these connections. And what do you think were some of your big stepping stones to showcase that Grouse was no longer the primary in your character's life?
I have to say, about as soon as those, it absolutely started with Steel Tiger. Like knowing that there was somebody in meat space that was willing to help Arcole, that wasn't just after the paycheck, was absolutely one of the leading steps in. Um, I'm sure also not, getting any retaliation from Nova after calling her a dinosaur several times was very helpful. But
Or Abuelita.
yeah, little abuelita. Uh, but I also think that a large part of it was Convoy as well. Um, just being able to like talk about your passions, which sure, like both Nova and Steel Tiger are mostly made of metal by this point. Um, being able to talk to someone with like that much passion behind AI, that much passion behind robotics, it was. I'd say that was probably a large portion of what made him like genuinely make the connection. Like, oh, I don't just have a connection with this AI person who happens to be a copy of me. I can actually, relate to people instead of the
Yeah.
people who happen to pull me out of the room to experiment on me. Uh, and then, of course, driving down that same road, meeting Curie, or what was her first name?
Marie?
Not Marie.
Marie?
Not Marie.
No, Curie.
Yeah. Curie. Yeah.
Whatever her. Sorry.
No, no.
Meeting Curie and learning everything that she had done was absolutely like the nail in the coffin. Like, oh, people can be like helpful to me in the things that I do now. Now that I'm not just like stuck in this quote unquote safe little bubble of mine, uh, it definitely helped like cement that people are actually people.
Nice. Steel Tiger, what do you think about being the reason Like I imagine it's definitely because of the physical contact. Like I'm sure Arcole never really had a lot of people touch him ever, and sure as hell probably nobody swaddle him.
He's never been hugged.
He's never been carried. I don't know. Have you guys ever seen those big beefy armed firemen or paramedics?
Yeah.
Ever
Oh, yeah.
scooped you up? Something about that.
Except about 30 to 40 years older.
Okay.
Or rather 20 to 30, but
Anyways, so yeah, what do you think about that? What do you think about Steel Tiger being
I'm glad I was able to help you out of a bad place, be it, emotionally, financially, or even physically. You know what I'm saying? I'm always here to help, uh, and so that makes you feel, I guess, good that you don't have to just rely on a Gross, or not a Gross, Gross, who is a dickhead. There you go.
He is.
But
I mean, that was the way we saw him last episode.
yeah, I was like,
he's
I was
slowly.
contemplating throwing him out. Yeah.
No, I saw that, seeing him on the table, and just.
I was contemplating just tossing him out. I was like, oh, for real? I've been gone for a minute. And then Techno was like, yeah, I think that Gross might be actually bad for him. I think he might try to hurt him or something. And I was like, he was about to catch the axe, and then we realized we were kidnapped, and then I totally forgot all about it.
Which is exactly why I asked. I was like, "Can I hear what they're saying?" Did y'all shut off your comms? Oh yeah, no, fair. Well, yeah, no. The later explanation definitely checked out. But I was like, hey, like they're still on the pan.
Yeah, right. There is no privacy. There are cameras everywhere. I think that's very important for the game too, to make sure to always remind people, yeah, there's no privacy. Don't imagine you're alone, because in this day and age, people think, oh yeah, I'm alone. No, you're not. There are listening devices everywhere. I'm right now talking into a listening device. I have another listening device sitting next to me. That's a listening device up there. There's so many listening devices in the room with me, and not all of them are being occupied by me at this point in time. Some of them are being occupied by other individuals. There are algorithms that are listening. So, I mean, that's way important to keep in mind.
Oh, sorry.
What's that?
I was just like, yeah, just give them a show. They're watching and listening anyway, right?
Right. Like in the morning when I get up and my computer camera is just sitting there, my computer's off, and I've heard people say the camera can still see you. They can hack your camera when there's no power to your computer. I'm just like, if they want to look at me getting out of the bed, I am a beast in the morning. Like, I don't know why someone would want to see that. Could you imagine in the world of 2123 the amount of like terrible morning pictures, people getting hacked just so they get a picture of you when you wake up with your hair all over the place?
Cole has all of those. He has 25 terabytes of just that.
Yeah. When I had my fro, like like I'd sleep and then just one side would just be smashed into my side of my head, and then the other side would just be like.
I sleep with my hair down. I sleep with my hair down, and so this ponytail gets on both sides, and then hair is naturally oily. It just starts kind of like clumping up on both sides and the top of my head, and like it's got like this swirly pattern and whatnot. It's very strange. So with Arcole's most recent game, Gross has become agitated.
No, he's getting very, very irate, sitting there and just the techie space.
Right?
Which I can absolutely see happening. It's, I mean, two people who are always together, as soon as one starts developing interests and, you know, doing things without the other, like,
Mm-hmm.
especially in such in a, not parasocial, but, like,
Intimate or
it says like symbiotic,
I
like
definitely think symbiotic
parasitic
is
relationship.
it's definitely symbiotic because both of you benefit from the other's existence.
And just like seeing one person grow further, I could absolutely see Gross kind of like getting irate from that. I mean, he's a copy of Arcole, just one that has had even less social development than Arcole.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time that, you know, our Cole really calls on Gross is to help him out with a quick calculation. I mean, they spend tons of time, you know, like together and working out, like working out all these complications, and you know, like still figuring out everything that's going on. I mean, they spend what 23 hours and 45 minutes of every single day together
Someday.
computing and just like figuring out what is the most optimal path for us to go down to ensure survival. And Gross is there to make sure that Arcole stays alive. And then he sees Arcole going off with Convoy, going off with Steel Tiger. I could absolutely see him getting irate from that.
Jealous.
Mhm.
so what you're saying is we need to get Gross a girlfriend. Or
Maybe Dawn. Or
Oh,
Cortana.
I don't.
Or
I
what's the name of your PMax again? Steel Tiger?
oh, the major.
The Major?
Shooty McBang Bang. That's her name. Shooty McBang Bang. If you want to know what happens when one PMax shoots another PMax, that's when you introduce her to him. Hey, maybe you guys will get along. She's just gonna be like, nope. Mm-mm. He's a liability.
Maybe Dawn. Maybe Dawn then.
Dawn wants to reset him. Are you sure?
No. Well, I'm just saying in terms of the story, not my own personal knowledge, you know, like
I would personally put I would put chips into the hat of having your most recent fixer's PMax become his therapist.
what was the PMax's name that stood around with Arcole and like spied on people for fun?
Nancy.
Nancy.
She doesn't call it spying. She calls it psychological social research. Yeah, she's researching the human condition.
Fair.
You can call it spying, but yeah, she does everything Arcole does. She gets into people's comms, she gets behind their eyeballs, she watches their day pass by.
That's exactly what Arcole does.
Exactly. So maybe Nancy and Arcole would be a better fit.
I mean, fair. It. I know for a fact that I know I'm the one playing him, but I have to play him true to him. I don't think that Arcole is ever going to willingly give up Gross in any amount.
Oh, of course not.
Oh.
See that's also another thing that I did on purpose when doing the game. Those of you who had interactions with your PMaxes a lot, I wanted that to happen. Those of you who have had interactions with your PMax a minimal amount, I wanted that to happen as well. Like the Major she is a device. She shows up, she does a task. That's it. She realizes that she's just a device in her limited cognitive awareness. And so I made sure that the only value she brought was some sort of knowledge or skill benefits. While Randy, who isn't a PMAX, but is portrayed as one, and Grouse, who is a PMAX, gets portrayed differently. Now, Dawn, of course, engages with Techno Siren, and that's because there's the questions she's being asked help move the story plot along. You know, what's wrong with that PMAX? Oh, it needs a reset.
Did Nova ever get one?
She does. And she spent time trying to teach it things. Of course, it's still infant-like, so it doesn't know a lot. And there's no way I'm going to do an infant PMAX running around in the game. That's way too much work.
Gotcha.
That would take away from everything going on, because she's got to handhold it through everything.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that the PMAX has represented that diametric existence between the real world and the Matrix, which I feel at that point in time, in the beginning, those things were like together, but through like a process of mitosis, they have become separated, and so that personality exists purely in the Matrix of that other person who exists in the real world. One of the things I wanted to do at some point in time, but never had a chance to, was have like a not necessarily a cut scene, but a scene in which the players are watching a young man or a young woman having an argument with their PMAX. And it's very visible that the PMAX is basically telling her or him that they are not improving themselves. They're not getting better. And it might be best for them, the PMAX themselves, to just, go on their own way.
You get dumped by your PMAX?
Or dumped by your person.
No. The PMAX would have matured. If you had noticed during the game sessions, drones had consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
This would have been the same idea. A PMAX would have gained consciousness and awareness of themselves and realized that their person isn't developing. And the function of the PMAX is to help the person develop. So Grouse has technically done exactly what he's supposed to do. Help you find friends. Help you become a person. But now that's counteracting his true goal, which was to be there for you at all times. He can't be there because somebody else is there. So he's gone above and beyond what he's supposed to do. This same scenario would have been the story of like a young man where his PMAX is telling him, you're a great person, everything, but you just aren't growing fast enough. You're not doing, and I'm supposed to be helping you, and you're not listening to anything I say. So I think it's better we go separate directions. And of course, we never got to a point in the game where something like that could blossom. So I just put it off to one side.
It's like there's so many more steps. You guys could take like couples counseling or something before you just walk out.
That's what our call is saying, man.
Would there be counselors who deal with that kind of stuff?
I'd say.
Or would everybody in society just say hit the reset button on it?
Yeah, that's what I would think. That most of society would just be like, oh well, I mean, it's just an AI. Just send it right back. Deal with it for a few months, and then it'll be back to normal. Or however long it takes for a PMAX to mature.
Steel Tiger?
Oh, I totally would have just reset the thing. But yeah. We were talking about that. And I was like, can I just swap a 0 and a 1 or something? Or...
I think.
Can I just swap the 0 and the 1 to just take away the emotional trauma? Is that okay? Can I do that?
Let's Excuse me, Arcole, we're trying to do a Shadowrun here. Can you turn your PMAXs from a passive aggressive to just passive?
Yeah, no, sure, I got it. Don't worry.
Yeah, funny story about ones and zeros. At my job, we have ghost files and ghost editors. The program that we use is old, and if you don't do the save exit procedure the right way, and you just like close crap out, you will generate a ghost editor or a ghost file, and they are so annoying to find. You have like 20 slots, and the first 4 filled, and then maybe there's an empty one and another one that is filled, and so you're going through all the blanks, just deleting blank after blank after blank, because this program was written before click, drag, highlight, delete. You know what I'm saying? So you have to delete every. Oh, it's very annoying, and it's just a 1 and a 0 saved somewhere that tells it exists. Ghost in the Machine, man. Ghost in the Machine.
Was that the inspiration?
Sort of, yeah. Ghost editors at my job, definitely fun to play with, especially when they start turning the machine on and turning the machine off and telling the machine to do stuff, and it's like, nobody's on it right now, man. Why is it doing this? Delete. Delete that PMAX. Start it over.
See, I'm not bad with technology, but I know that if I had a PMAX, that would probably be my genuine experience. Like me as a person, absolutely nowhere close to the actual, experience of a decker. But um, I think it would just be like, no, I know I set the auto, the auto lights on at 8. Please just give me a little bit longer. And it's like, no, but you said no matter what, leave this on. It would just be that type of struggle every day.
Every day. Oh my god.
Every day struggling.
Exactly.
I would be I don't know what I would do if I had a PMAX hanging around all the time. I'd be like, can you shut up and go do the dishes? And he's like, well, why don't you go do the dishes and I'll just play the video game. Well, you're not real. Don't talk about me that way. No, you're not. I will turn you off. Now shut up. I'm playing video games. Go wash the dishes. I can't. Run the dishwasher.
Oh,
There's
no.
nothing in it.
Oh, no. See, I feel like I would end up getting freaked out by that. I'm a person who's very big about alone time. If there was never any alone time, which I don't know how I feel about my alone time being interrupted by a copy of myself. Because
Right?
I think I would understand, like, just shh, be quiet, be in the background, go find something else to do, you know?
Think
Oh,
about
yeah.
you as a child. Rewind the clock to when you were younger and you were looking for something to do. Now, input a copy of you that can interact with a digital world and do digital things with you, so you can play games, hide and seek, stuff like that. They could, of course, cheat, know where you're at all the time, because, they got you low jacked because they're inside your head. Or, that would be the ultimate friend, always there hanging out. Right? Hey, let's play Mario Karts. You pick up one controller and they digitally get another controller. Always somebody to play Mario Karts with. Somebody to run, hey, so-and-so's birthday's coming up. We need to get a card for them.
See, now those reminders would have probably stopped me from having to get on ADHD meds.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we've got that project due in 3 weeks. If we just do a little bit now, we can go off and play video games later. Hey, the garbage needs to be taken out. Now, of course, at some point, if your PMAX is just, could you imagine that person's PMAX That person has got ADHD and their PMAX is just, hey, I need you to do this. Hey, man, you're such a nag.
He hits the mute function.
That sounds like getting reset. That sounds like getting reset. This is coming from the player, not the character, by the way.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
you-
As soon as you start turning into a Navi, no, I'm good.
Hey, listen.
Or like, what's the fairy from Elda? Follows
No,
Link around?
Navi.
Navi.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. And not the blue people from Avatar. I mean, the blue fairy. That's annoying.
Not the Navi, but Navi.
Navi, yeah.
As in
Hey,
navigator.
Look at this. Hey, what's that? Hey,
Hey,
found
listen.
something. Hey, there's blood over here. Hey, I just saw a human face in the darkness.
Just Clippy all over the place.
Exactly. Clippy.
Clippy, but for the Shadowrun world.
I never thought of that. Clippy, but for the Shadowrun world. I see you're trying to hide a body. Do you need some help?
Yep. There's a golden 5 kilometers to the east. Ghouls love fresh meat. This is what we were doing in that first game. Jen had a friend that was a ghoul, had a whole caravan, not caravan, or just cave full of them. And we would just bring them our dead, and they would eat them. It was great. Win-win.
Definitely wanted to stay away from ghouls as much as possible, so I went in vampires instead. Nosferatu, much more entertaining. Do you remember Abuelita is just like, vampires are people too. I'm going to go talk to this one. And it was nomming on somebody.
Just like an arm in his mouth.
Yeah, and she wanted to talk to it and make friends with the vampire who was eating somebody, and it's like, you get to do you.
Well, I mean, she is used to selling blood bags out of Stuffer Shack to vampires.
This is true.
This is true.
So I can kind of see why she would just be like, oh, I deal with these guys all the time. Like, you know.
It's fine. Most of them are Valley Girls anyways.
They're just doing it because it's the in crowd, you know.
It's so terrible because that's like a disease and you can't get rid of it. I want to be part of the in crowd.
Oh my goodness.
Freaking guy's name from Edward. Was it Edward? Bite me, Edward.
Oh yeah, just to be one of the cool kids.
Just to be one of the cool kids. I notice you don't eat food and you walk around all day. I know what you are. No, you don't. But yeah, I don't know. Clippy.
I see. I know that Cyberpunk 2077 did something like that. I just don't recall the name of it.
Really?
Of it was a gun, I think. I think it was like a certain gun where it like had a little holographic character that popped up and was like, oh, would you like pacifist gun mode, or would you rather have like serial killer murder death mode? And
aren't you talking about that game? There's a game, High on Life. Isn't that the game you're talking about with the cartoon guns?
I know what you're talking about.
It's called Skippy the Talking Gun. Yeah.
I know exact. Oh, Skippy! It was Skippy.
Yes, Skippy. Yeah, you're right. It was Skippy.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a smart gun in 2077.
Which I came across, and then I don't think I used a different gun after that because that was amazing.
It offers the choice between automatic headshots or non-lethal limb shots.
Yes.
The puppy-loving pacifist mode.
Puppy-loving pacifist. Yes. Okay. I knew I wasn't going crazy.
No, yeah,
was,
you're right.
Oh, there was a whole moment of like, oh, we are turning off lethal mode, and then like your character asks it why, and it's like, oh, because you've killed 20 people. And then you go like, okay, well, don't turn on puppy-loving pacifist mode. And they're just like, you just killed 20 people. Why do you want to turn off pacifist mode now? If you can, like, just going like, if you can't get the job done in 20, what are you doing?
Having fun.
Neat. I have not played that game yet. I know it's been out for a while. I do have it, but I'm interested to see what I can glean from it.
I played it back whenever I had a lot more time. Obviously now not anymore. Recently I was on a Newsday Tuesday where face was shown to all of our good mercenary backers.
Ooh.
Which they kind of figured out how much time has been going into that. But most recently, the most I've had time for is probably about 10, maybe 20 hours of Helldivers in the past few weeks.
Oh yeah,
nice.
I hear good thing about Helldivers.
It's been a fantastic time.
Have you in that game? Do you see anything that you think should be in a Shadowrun-esque style environment?
I do like. So I do like the different types of objectives where like in Helldivers it is often like it is very aggressive, but throwing in forces to take down like communication towers, like shutting down the chain of information in order to target the person specifically. Of course, that's not always for a stream, because for a stream you do want to hit on those major notes, but I'm always about the systematic breakdown. You pull the rug out from under them before you take them down. I'd say that is probably my biggest thing. The delayed gratification.
Oh, like I was about to say, like, please don't put anything from that game into this game. Please don't.
No, I haven't played it.
Get some bugs in there.
Yeah. Like we don't need the automaton like apocalypse or the bug or bug like the Zerg rush or anything like that. I'm good.
Listen, man, I think it'd be
Nothing
fun.
about it?
Huh? I mean,
automatons.
I mean, my character would probably be good in that scenario, but it's just like
you effectively are an automaton.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'd be good in that. Pretty much good in that scenario. I'm just saying that the way that game set up is like great. It is freaking crazy.
No, that's fair.
Maybe I have to get it.
Oh, yeah, it's a time.
So when I play other games, I try to kind of look, and that was one of the things when I was looking at inventing new guns for this, because I realized this is 50 years in the future. There's got to be some new tech by now. I just started having fun and creating a bunch of different gun companies, bunch of different guns, figuring out how the stats work, and pretty much just bringing the stakes up quite a bit to generate something that would be like, oh, hey, this is interesting, like the Worm Breaker. It was not easy. It was not easy, and I'm pretty sure I should go back and like do more refreshers and modifications to make the guns make more sense for 50 years of productivity, progress. But I just don't know if progress really happened that well in 50 years, considering that the world's going to hoop in a handbasket.
I don't know. I feel like the time whenever most most advances would be made in firepower would be during that time. It's people trying to claim things, people trying to, make sure no one tries to take things from them.
Yeah.
I mean, like the AR-15, like right now, is still like the premier rifle, and that's been, it came out in the '60s. So just as a reference, it's about almost an 80-year-old gun. We still use it.
Yeah, it does take quite a bit of time for technology to change over. I was running a D&D game that had hand cannons, basically a cannon on a stick that was utilized as a weapon. And one of the players was just like, yeah, so how can I make this so it has multiple shots? I'm like, you can't. Well, yeah, just maybe multiple barrels. I'm like, that you could do. Yeah, I'm going to put multiple barrels together. And so, pre-made ammunition that I can just like hand load to make this go fast. I'm like, you can't. Like, why not? I was like, because that took hundreds of years to even take place. Like, there's a lot of technology between point A to point B. Look up to when this kind of changed to wet firearms to that kind of change to firearms. And it was a drastic amount of time. And he was not happy with that answer, but I was like, I'm sorry. you cannot turn this into an Old West where you've got a 6-shooter. You've got a hand cannon. You need to carry a bunch of pre-prepped cannons. That's all I can tell you.
Yes, but in a world where these like mega corporations are just out to make their next dime, and I don't know, if you're looking at the future, I feel like a lot can happen in 40 to 50 years where it's like, oh, like this is especially with runners being out there, where they're effectively facing a new lethal threat every like max like a month, like every couple of weeks to a month, uh where they need a superior piece of weaponry, or like something that allows them to attack magically or through the matrix or something like that. I feel like advances would be being made in the effort of profit so much more quickly than it would be in just the, you know like, like politically.
So it really, there's only so many ways you can fire a bullet out of a barrel, right? So the things that get uh innovated are the actual cartridges, right? Like, yeah. So you'd be like, you'd have more efficient powder charges, so that means that now you can have a higher grain bullet, or you can change and then also you have like manufacturing problems, because like to be novel, like, oh, I'm gonna make an entirely new like caliber of bullet and a gun to fire this thing, and I plan on mass marketing all of these things, and it's like, oh, you're planning for this gun to fire thousands upon thousands of this round, right? Like over the course of its lifetime. Versus, so then you have to build this new bullet, have manufacturing. Never mind, I'm too high. I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole. Like, I'm sorry. I'm too boosted. Like,
No, I hear you, man. That's not the point of our conversation tonight, but I would love to sit here and listen to you talk about that stuff for hours on end because I am definitely. We'll do a Chris show. We always said we're going to do a Chris show where
Oh wait,
people
what?
ask Chris questions. Remember that? It was on the list of things to do. It was a Chris
Oh,
show.
I don't know why anybody wants to ask me anything. I'm just a random dude on the internet. But yeah,
That's exactly why they would want to ask you.
It gives me the same feeling as like Therapy Gecko, if y'all know him. Oh, do y'all not know Therapy Gecko?
no.
Dang.
Oh, is that the dude that wears like a gecko suit
He
and
wears a
like
full
reads
gecko
like
suit,
yeah,
full
paints
gecko
his face?
suit. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've seen him. Okay, I'm
He also
tracking.
has a podcast. It's a great time. He just like takes calls and like addresses people's problems in a very not to overuse the word, but in a very uncouth way where he's just like trying to make sense of like all of these like radically different problems, and he's just like, "Hmm, so how did that make you feel?"
Oh, and
Wow.
like he doesn't actually give any like good advice. It's just all like troll advice.
Some of it is good advice where it's just like although it's never like radically good advice where it's like you need to change your life in this major way. It's always like, oh, well, if you think about that situation,
Mm.
have you thought about how they might have felt? And then he's like completely quiet, just staring into the camera with his green painted face, wearing a gecko outfit, listening to this person over the phone that is just so passionate about what they're talking about.
That was another thing I definitely feel that I wanted to touch in on was the social media and the social media me feed kind of mentality of the Shadowrun world, but I couldn't get into it enough to generate that information. So I just kind of like made up jingles and advertisement commercials and new food ideas, new food items like broquitos.
I mean, honestly, at that point, and like that far into like a dystopian cybernetic future, like it's kind of fitting where it's like, oh, people can't pay attention for longer than about 5 to 10 seconds. Let's make it 5 to 10 seconds.
I was trying to
What was
always
that?
aim. Ah, damn. Billy Berserker has arrived, and I wanted to kind of showcase Billy for a moment since we're talking about like the lore of the Shadowrun world and the lore of the previous game. When Nova was introduced to me, being coming through, I realized that I wanted to make sure to have her character's past come into some sort of play into the present. And to do that, I wanted to kind of find out more. And so I probed the previous players and GM to find out some information because I wanted to surprise the player with, oh, hey, this, that, and the other. And so through the generation of back lore, the young orc spellcaster was for all intents and purposes heir to the Billy Berserker storyline. She was a love child from a previous engagement, and that was a very fun introduction to that part of the lore, that character information.
No,
It was
no, no.
also fun to talk to them. Go ahead.
No, fair. I remember talking about that, but that's before I knew about too much of the lore of Billy Berserker. Most of what I and Arcole was getting was strictly through Nova. Um, and honestly, probably for the better. You know, method acting. Um, but I did love hearing all of those connections between season 1 and season 2.
I did too. I enjoyed creating those connections because then there felt like the past is still there. We're still part of it's still part of us. We have to remember that. And so it helps play into the whole, time perspective that is overarching the storyline.
No, very true. Um, Also, I think it's about time for a 10-minute break,
Okay.
and then we'll be right back.
Yeah, we'll be back in 10 minutes, everybody.
Can I just ask, what does a summoning tea kettle look like?
Oh, a summoning tea kettle. It is made out of cast iron that has been painted ritually with symbols in blood, obviously, that are then coated and shellacked over so that they don't flake off, that way it can last for centuries. And we use a nice clear coat, though, so you can see them quite nice, quite clear. We mix in with the blood. We mix in the iridescent paint, so it gives us a nice little beautiful shimmer, especially as it heats up. And as you heat it up, that's where the magic happens, because that is when all of the symbols start to glow and get bright and beautiful. And as the tea kettle whistles, that is the summoning ritual complete.
If you have an interest in using the summoning tea kettle, or taking part in any of the other worlds in our games, you don't have to have experience. Just join our Discord, and the GMs will work with you and help you find a game you enjoy. The link is in the chat.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?
What a spell! Spell. She says spell like 92 times. Spell. 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 Spell.
You get to play with us now, which is so exciting. So with channel points, bits, and subscribes, you can give rewards to the player of your choice. So how to do that is, no, not Bob. channel points. I believe it is 500 points gets you NERPs, which is +3 to any dice roll to the player of your choice. For 1,000 channel points, you can do a point of edge to any player. And for 2,500 channel points, you can do 4 edge to the player of your choice. Now for bits, for 100 bits, that's $1, you can do the NERPs. For 200 bits, that's $2, you can do the point of edge. Or for 500 bits, that's $5, get 4 edge to give to the player of your choice. And finally, again, the subs, if you subscribe, you can give 4 edge to any player.
Everybody, we're back for the last portion of the show. As we're coming to the last bit, we've got a few more questions we're going to put out there for these two, for us three actually, to answer, and then we're gonna do the REM PC drawing. So thank you for hanging out. So I'll start off with I mentioned it earlier, I think pre-show. Well, maybe I did mention it in the show. Now it's kind of all blurred together. It's the end of my day.
Fair.
With the remaining of the season 2, what would you like to see? And I'll direct this question toward Steel Tiger.
What I'd like to see, like, towards the end, is watching that Vought chick get her comeuppance. You just can't steal the ocean. But yeah, I'd like to see that wrap up. I'd like to see I, I'd like to see. Wait, I've been missing for a bit. Did Randy ever get pants? I'd like to see Randy get pants if he hasn't gotten pants already.
Or
no, like no, or
well,
Will.
Randy is the PMax, right? Billy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Billy, and then didn't he have? And then there was the Anthrodrone that was just like a copy of Convoy.
Yes, he got pants.
Okay, he has pants. All right, sweet.
He's got pants.
No, I remember Abuelita had a wandering eye. Yeah. And
the question was, yeah.
So all right, so he has pants. I need to see her die. I'd like to see. I'd like to see. I would like to see. I don't know, her get like her an upgrade so that she like all of her limbs would actually can function to the best of their ability or whatnot. Her being Nova, my bad. I mean, obviously,
I heard you.
Yeah. It's just fun and shenanigans. Like I don't have any major like plot asks or wishes from anybody or from you or anything like that. I'm just here to have a good time.
Cool. What would Cole? What would you like to see, Tyler, for the last portion of the game?
I mean, I think just either some sort of. I know that given our timeline of what 14 years, is it 13 14 years?
Yeah, 13 years.
Like either some form of like not a closing, but at least a resolution for now. Given that tailed comment is going to be coming through, I know that is a lot of time, but also being able to solve that problem would be kind of insane. But a resolution for now, where our runners feel like they've accomplished something, and not only that, but for our Cole specifically, some sort of close on the turmoil with Gross, with his PMax, and because I do feel like that is like a major crux of his character right now.
Yes, I agree. I like both of those, and you know, we had mentioned earlier that it's evident that you guys are going to do a strike against the Vought to free the spirit. So, like, I expect her to get her comeuppance because that's her money maker, her breadwinner. She's definitely going to want to protect that as much as she possibly can. So, I'm sure you guys could pull it off. So yeah, and resolution on Gross.
I said we must.
You must. For me, I'd like to see one of the two ends come. Either the weather station gets destroyed, or sorry, I should say the elemental gets freed, or the space bridge gets destroyed. One of those two, so that I wouldn't hate. It'd make me giggle if you guys failed to do either of those. And then my next follow-up game is just going to start off in like some very wasteland-like stuff going, yeah, it's not so great. It was better one time. It could have been better again, but now it's just not so great. Kind of intro.
So they turned off the
Fire
water.
Nation. And then the Fire Nation attacks.
Yeah.
Things were great, and then things were not so great.
Yeah, could have been better. Let me give you a list of people who were supposed to make it better, but they didn't. Here's their names and their addresses.
Oh no. Well, I mean, all depending. I don't know what you have in store, but like, for the next season, I mean, we have a couple people who are continuing on, and a few people who aren't. As far as continuing characters, and if they survive all of this, what they might still be around.
The next GM might choose to start from a more central to the lore back in the 2080s, 2090s.
Very true.
Which would be cool.
Nice.
If you guys survive, I definitely think I'm going to and this to everyone watching and to everyone who's part of the cast right now who's here, you can't share this, but I intend to, at the end of this session, when everything's said and done, to put Amber back on ice and Nova back on ice. Yeah.
Nova's never going to get a break.
I'm gonna put her back on ice. Yeah. That's gonna be part of her end story.
That's hilarious.
No, that's so
Turns out
good.
she's on the beach right now watching this. She's like, "Oh, I see you."
That's not what we talked about. I know. We didn't talk about that. I'm changing.
Just like Billy
Be glad
says.
I don't change it anymore.
Just like Billy says, we have to preserve the Nova facts. Nova facts forever.
Nova facts forever. Oh, if I'm looking staying on to the next season. I'm looking to stay on to the next season, and I kind of want to play a spellcaster, if I'm honest. Like, I really think it is a novel idea, and I don't mean like an adept. I mean like a full-on spellcaster, summoner, ritualist, stuff like that. I think it should be fun to do. Either that or my fallback is always to play the rigger, like flying
Riggers
drones
are fun.
and stuff like that.
Fair. Well,
Yeah,
Max, this is an intense question for you. Are you going to let that influence your decision on whether or not to kill off Techno Siren by the end of this? If you kill off Techno Siren, then you have an empty slot for a magic caster.
Dun, dun, dun.
She's a mystic adept who cannot summon, so she's not even a real mage. I mean, she is a mage. She can do magic, but she's
more offensive than what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. No, the role's not even filled, baby.
Oh, did you see the chat?
I do. Whoops. Somebody's listening. She's not even a real mage. She's a mage. She just can't summon. I'm gunning for your position.
Oh no. Oh,
Yeah, no, I'd like to do either an aspect of a mage of some type or fall back onto the rigger. Oh, what is his name? He's been Joel.
Olsen.
Joel. What's Joel? Joel.
from walking. Oh,
Doug
not
from
walking.
the does the Shadowrun podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
No, never mind. Sometime back, another one of the podcasters. He's the one who hosted our podcast.
Joe.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
remember his last name though.
Me neither. Right
Hey,
now.
When Original Box Set first started doing Shadowrun podcasts, we got hosted on another one, and I can't think of all the details, but his name is Joe, and insert gravestone here. And I played an orc rigger, and I liked the character so much that I was like, I should keep trying to do this, but you know, games don't come around as much for people like me. So I grab the opportunity when I can and get rid of the not a real mage with a real mage. Staring at you, T-Rex. What about you? What would you be interested in seeing in the next season?
Oh,
Wait,
me?
Oh, you're not we already know. No, I'm talking to Tyler. Tyler, I don't wherever you are.
we both kind of answered that. Like just going after some kind of resolution with Gross and Arcole, and just some kind of not conclusion, since I know that we're not going to be hitting. We're probably not going to hit that point with the comet. But just
But that's just it. Season 3 is somebody completely different. I'm not doing season 3.
Fair. I'd
There
like to
might not-
see
there-
some type of continuation as to what happened, or like a reason coming into the comet being such a threat. That would
Well,
be
again,
such
I
a
tell
good.
you, I don't know what Tom's gonna run. So I mean, he might be like, I'm not doing that story.
No,
So you
fair,
won't
fair.
know
I'd like to see it
until
like
season 4 when I take back over.
it doesn't have to be like a full like story around it. Maybe just like a hint towards it. Like, oh, our scientists have spotted this, but that's not going to be a problem for another 50 years or whatever. Just
Okay.
I love the feeling of an entire, because like if we're separating it out into seasons, it's serialized, like effectively, and whenever a series can like tie all of those things together, I love that. I eat that up so quick.
Cool. And before we wrap it up here, I do want to thank everybody for like hanging out with us. This has been fun. It's just been a little Shadowrun glitch cast. Any other parting words from Chris before we go?
Hey, everybody, be sure to hydrate. Get your full night's rest, and brush your teeth and all that jazz.
Brush your teeth.
That advice.
Dang it! I was gonna go to bed without brushing my teeth tonight, but you convinced me.
I got you.
My advice would be to always remember to, when your mind is active and filled with clutter, writing and drawing is what you should do. And if your mind is empty and you have nothing you can think about, read a book. Don't watch a TV show, just read a book. Books are better. It makes your brain do work. That's what I got.
Yeah.
I have do boosters and get money. These are my pieces of advice. And watch season 3 of Emerald Glitch.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah. Who
if
won?
there is nothing else going on, then I have that. One moment. Let me snag that. All right. And for the REM-PC giveaway of Parachute Panda, we would like to announce Deacris as the winner of the REM-PC giveaway. We will be sending that copy of Parachute Panda out to you. Please leave your whispers open. We'll be reaching out to you.
Oh, I was like, it's me? But no, it's not me.
Deacris. Deacris? Maybe they're still around?
Deocris.
Deacris?
Deocris. Is that the one? Yeah. It's the only Deocris on the list.
Fair enough.
Oh, congrats.
We will be back in 1 week. The 2nd of May. Tune in to the second to last episode of season 3, where the group will make their
Season 2.
decision on. Right. Season 4. The second last episode of season 7. I get to pick the number.
The finale of season 16.
Oh, no. The penultimate episode of season 2. Penultimate, such a cool word.
Penultimate.
You weren't supposed to get it right.
Oh, snap. The penultimate episode of season 13. There you go.
Where the group will decide whether they're going to go free the ocean spirit or break a space bridge. Man, I gotta see. Like, you guys gonna use the explosives on to save the spirit, or you gonna use I gotta find out what you guys are thinking. I hope you're thinking. I really hope you're thinking, guys. You need to be thinking about this ahead of time. not like the hour before, like maybe a day. Some plans. Your Shadowrunners. Do your legwork.
Like Orca Ski.
Listen, I have no strength in my legs. I just go into it, you know.
Yeah. And that's why you get upset when I don't carry you.
Yes. Let me be your spider monkey. All right. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Please check in with us next week where we will have a full regular episode of Emerald Glitch. And everyone, we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Night, everybody. Brush your teeth.
Brush your teeth.
Yeah.